Nonprofit organizations and what they do, but we're taking a deeper look at who they impact directly.
That's right. KTIV's community impact reporter Taylor Deckard introduces us to one of the latest residents of the Gospel Mission who is part of a new program looking for a better life.
I didn't have a future. I didn't care about anything except for getting high.
Michael Reddick has been at the Gospel Mission in Sioux City for about a month after spending the last few years living on the streets.
COVID hit and I lost my job, sleeping outside of the library.
He ended up in Sioux City after meeting a girl, married for 12 years, later divorced. But both were making poor decisions while living on the street, calling it a snowball effect.
Eventually, you realize that you're literally nowhere, and you want you want to be somewhere.
He eventually put himself in a rehab facility in Siouxland.
Heard about this place, and they've pretty much saved my life.
A lot of men and women that come to the shelter really on the downside of their life, and we provide them hope, encouragement, a new chapter to their lives.
They brought back religion into my life. They've kept me off the streets. They kept my belly full and clothes on my back.
Michael says he is going to be spending the next 6 months in the Gospel Mission's new Shelter to Launch program, working to get these guys out of housing here and onto the next step.
Addiction drives many people on the street to not look for help until there's a change of heart or nowhere else to go.
We need to fill that heart with what was the drugs were filling before and the alcohol was filling with something else. And ultimately, we feel like that's Jesus Christ and the gospel.
Staying at the Gospel Mission comes with accountability to stay sober from drugs and alcohol.
We want to give them a hand up to change their lives, to move on to back to the community, to living on their own. And so there are rules that go along with that, and time limits and consequences for breaking the rules as well.
Michael has since started at a new job since our interview and says he hopes more people choose a path that starts to look up.
It's hard out there where people do. Life threw us everybody a curveball, and the people here, the people living here just want to get back on track.
In Sioux City, Taylor Deckard, KTIV News 4.
A new case manager was recently added, working closely with the men and women hand in hand.